pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I'd like to invite Mike Maines. He's going to provide the invocation for tonight's meeting to come forward and present that.
That's my wife. Urbano said I was the Reverend, and I said, that's not true. My wife's the Reverend. I'm just a councilman. And this prayer is not unique. If you get the text of this and you Google it, you'll find it out on the internet. I pieced it together from a few different prayers, but just tried to come up with something appropriate since tomorrow is the 4th of July. Let's pray. Lord God Almighty, in whose name the founders of this country won liberty for themselves and for us, and lit the torch of freedom for nations then unborn, grant that we and all the people of this land may have grace to maintain our liberties in righteousness and peace. Eternal God, stir in our minds and stimulate our hearts with a high sense of patriotism as we approach the 4th of July. May all that this day symbolizes renew our faith in freedom, our devotion to democracy, and redouble our efforts to keep a government of the people, by the people, and for the people truly alive in our world. Grant that we may highly resolve on this great day to dedicate ourselves anew to the task of ushering in an era when goodwill shall live in the hearts of a free people. Justice shall be the light to guide their feet, and peace shall be the goal of humankind, to the glory of thy holy name and the good of our nation and of all mankind. Lord, we pray that you would bless this city and all its many events that are celebrating this 4th of July, and that you would keep our citizens safe. We pray that you would be present at our council meeting tonight. We pray that our discussions and debates presented and votes taken tonight would be to your will, and that they would be pleasing and fulfill your purposes and plan for this city. And all God's people said,
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah. Say more for me. Yeah.
Please take roll call.
Abrams.
Here.
Menninger.
Here.
Grubbs.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
Dole.
Here.
Maines.
Here.
Galindo.
Here. First item on this evening's agenda is approval of the council meeting minutes for July 19th, 2018, and executive session meeting minutes from the same evening.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Will you please take the roll?
Abrams.
Yay.
Menninger.
Yay.
Grubbs.
Yay.
Lewis.
Yay.
Dole.
Yay.
Maines.
Yay.
Galindo.
Abstain.
At this time, we have a representative from the district that'd like to make a presentation. I'm not sure who. We've got Annette, and I am not familiar with. And Sharon.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. All right, obviously we have District Secretary Annette Troscher, and we have Sharon Zalak. She is a member at large of the district board at the podium here. And we'd like to call up representatives from our local VFW and American Legion, please. As they're coming up, as you know, the district hosted our second annual food truck rally on May 20th, which was Armed Forces Day. We are proud to give back to our community today to these two fine organizations that do so much for our military and our community. We will present both organizations with a check tonight for $1,465.63 each. Thank you for what you both do for this community.
downtown organization very much for this donation.
I would like to say, point of personal privilege, if you don't mind, I want to thank the people who have notified Jean and congratulated her on her election as second vice mayor of the state of Ohio. She's the first woman in 100 years to be elected to state office in the American Legion. And she did a great job, and we had a convention this past weekend. So thank you. I know Hank said something on Facebook, I know I saw that, but thank you all for thinking of her.
She worked so hard.
Next item on this evening's agenda is to set a public hearing date to implement the design standards for the DRD, Downtown Redevelopment Overlay District.
So moved.
We
Second.
need a date and a time.
Make a
Is that the
motion to set a public
17th?
hearing the 17th of July at 7.
Don't we already have a public hearing that day?
You
Yeah.
have two.
We have two, yeah.
6:45.
6:45 or
Actually,
45 it is then.
We need to get this one done,
6:45.
Yeah.
so.
So we'll have to push
6:45.
all of our committee meetings up that day too?
Well, you'll have to look at your committees, and they might either be adjusted or abbreviated.
Okay.
So it's 6:45.
6:45 on July 17th.
So we have a motion for 6:45 on July 17th.
Second.
Second.
Mayor, before voting, that's coming before the Planning Commission?
That'll be at the Plan Commission on the 10th. If they do not provide a favorable recommendation, then the public hearing will be canceled. It's anticipated that there'll be a favorable recommendation.
Right.
We're trying to fast-track this because there is a moratorium in place until we get this completed.
I read through the whole thing. It turned out great.
So we have a motion and a second for a public hearing on the 17th at 6:45. Will you please take the roll?
Menninger.
Yay.
Grubbs.
Yay.
Lewis.
Yay.
Dole.
Yay.
Maines.
Yay.
Galindo.
Yay.
Abrams.
Yay.
So we'll have a public hearing, and then after that, if it keeps moving through, then it'll come to council for a vote.
So Planning Commission has a
Perhaps in
public hearing on the
August.
10th.
Mhm.
They will make a recommendation on the 10th. Council now has a public hearing set for the 17th and has the ability to vote on the 17th.
Okay.
Which means that the moratorium would be lifted after that.
Okay, great.
We can put it on the agenda
Yeah,
for the 17th.
We promised all the people in the district that we would work on this as quickly as we could
Absolutely.
and push it through, and there's been a lot of work done on this, a lot of commenting and circulation of the language and adjustment with the Planning Commission people and a little bit from council. And
Great.
it's ready to be voted on, so.
You can go ahead and add that.
Do we have any items to add to the agenda? Okay. So we're down to the mayor's report, and I have a couple visitors that came tonight expecting to hear about Dynergy and the letters that went out to the residents concerning our electric aggregation. Our representative is actually going to be here on the 17th to talk about gas, so he will not be here this evening. If I can talk to you after council. If you are eligible for our electric aggregation, you should either have recently received or in the very near future, next couple of days, receive a letter about opting out if you're interested. If you would like to take advantage of the very good rate that Dynergy is offering, 5.04 cents, I believe, almost unheard of when you look on the Apples to Apples website, you do not have to do anything. If you are not interested in that program and want to opt out, there are instructions on the letter that will tell you how to opt out. The questions for the people that were here this evening that unfortunately won't be answered is which portion of your Duke bill will be replaced? And it's the generation section, but there's two portions on your bill that show that. So in 2 weeks, when Dan Dieters is here, I will have a definitive answer on that. You have 30 days to opt out, so you will have time to get that answer prior to opting out.
And this letter here that you received is for electric only, and it should be about 17% savings.
Yes,
Is what he
this
said.
is electric only.
Right.
In about 3 months, we will see similar letters come out concerning natural gas if you have natural gas service. And that's what he'll be here specifically to talk about on the 17th.
And if you didn't receive a letter, like for example, I didn't receive a letter because I'm already in a program, that's simple. If you'd like to receive 17% savings, you just contact Energy Alliances and just Google Energy Alliances. I don't have their phone number memorized. And call them with your Duke bill, and you can read them exactly what you're in, and they can try to figure out if there's going to be a fee to leave that one company to another. For me, there won't be. And I know Hank also is in another program we're going to switch over. So if you did not receive a letter, you still can join and get the great savings, but you're going to have to call Energy Alliances.
So Cindy, is that 17%, is that over just the power generation, or is that total bill?
That's money.
I mean,
That-
is it over the total bill, or
That
is it
is
portions of
on
the bill?
the generation portion.
Just the generation, 17%
For
off
electric,
generation?
right.
That's important to let people know.
So
Yeah.
pretty much everybody up here is fairly well-versed. Some are better than others on the program. But if you decide to get in the program and in 3 months you don't like it, there is no fee
Right.
to opt out and change.
Right.
And we can't speak for other third-party suppliers, but Dynergy will not charge you to get out or back into their program at any time while we're in contract with Dynergy. If you leave and go to another supplier, whether that be Duke or First Energy or some other third party, they may have fees associated with that we do not have control of. But the Dynergy contract that they have with the city, there is no opt-in, no opt-out fees. When you leave, there's no fee. If you come back in 3 months later, there's no fee. So,
Here's a couple phone numbers for Energy Alliance, 513-794-5555, or they have a 800 number, which is 800-735-0359. That's their Blue Ash office.
I will get with the Economic Development Department and IT, and they're on vacation right now, but next week I'll try to get those up on the city's website and Facebook page, those phone numbers, the contact numbers. So that will bring us down to our reports. For my report, I would like to present each council member with the city challenge coin for their continued service and efforts during their service to the city. So, Mark?
Thank you.
Mayor.
You know these challenge points work, right? The challenge points.
So these challenge coins are, have the Old City Town Hall emblem on one side and the city logo on the other. Cindy did a little talk a couple weeks ago when we handed out the flags to the retirees about what challenge coins mean and what they're for. And at a future meeting, there'll be some other people recognized with coins. But this evening, I knew I'd have all 7 council members present. We had 1 or 2 missing in the last couple meetings, and I wasn't able to present them to council. But it's a token of my appreciation to them for their service, their dedication to the city, to the residents. I feel that everyone up here, each one of the council members, puts their personal life aside many times to serve the city and make sure that the business that needs to be attended to is attended to. And now they have a little something to show for that. Thank you. So we'll move on to the law director's report.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I have no report this evening. Thank you.
Ms. Abrams, do you have a report this evening?
I do, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Join us tomorrow for our 4th of July festivities. Parade kicks off at 4 p.m., and the parade will head from the community center down Broadway to State Street, then up Harrison Avenue, and return here at the community center. The celebration begins at 5 p.m. with family-friendly entertainment, food and drinks for purchase, free kids' activities, and much more. Church on Fire Ministries will be bringing the fun for the kids' games this year. They will take place behind the garage at the community center, so new location this year. There will also be a cornhole tournament and a watermelon eating contest taking place throughout the day. P&G Big Band will be playing from 6 to 8:30 over by the basketball courts, and Gen X will be playing at 7 p.m. until the fireworks start at dusk by the pavilion. Fireworks, of course, are provided by Rozzy. Friendly reminder, no outside alcoholic beverages permitted to be brought on city property. Bring your family and don't miss out on the fun. Our next free summer concert is July 10th, 7 to 9:30, with Black Bone Cat performing here at the Community Center. And of course, join Harrison Recreation Commission for movie night on Friday, July 13th, from 7 to 10 p.m. for our Christmas in July theme, featuring Polar Express. You could wear your pajamas or not, optional. Free La Rosa's pizza, cheese pizza. No pajamas for Hank. Okay.
Are you wearing your pajamas, Cindy?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Anyway, free La Rosa's cheese pizza, snow cones, and popcorn while supplies last. Our next recreation meeting is July 11th at 7 p.m. Music on the Avenue in the district, downtown Harrison, is July 11th from 7 to 10 p.m., featuring Dangerous Jim and the Slims Band. And mark your calendar for August 8th, featuring 90 Proof Twang. We have a busy month this month, actually a busy 2 weeks. Join us in the district for the Wine Walk on July 20th from 7 to 10 p.m. We are featuring 4 Ohio wineries this year, and you will be sampling 12 wines. Tickets available online or the day of the event. I'm sure some of you have noticed because you've reached out. We have new beautiful benches and garbage cans that were installed by our streets department today in downtown. Thank you to Duke Energy for awarding us a beautification grant to purchase the new benches and cans. Check them out next time you're in downtown. Hamilton County Emergency Management Agency has rolled out an impressive new emergency notification system, Alert HC. I reported on this a couple of months ago. You can select the types of emergency notifications you would like to receive. This alert system is tied into Smart 911, where you can enter important information you want first responders to know before an emergency. The City of Harrison is proudly partnering with the Hamilton County Communications Center to offer Alert Harrison. You can sign up for alerts at alerthc.org. Chief Hersong, you might be able to answer a couple questions if you come to the podium. I had a couple calls today about, sorry about this. So I'm familiar, but I want to just make sure that I'm quoting this right. So the new Alert Harrison is going to be like, for example, if you opt in today, just right now, go to alerthc.org, and when you sign up and everything, the top right, you can scroll down and you can see like local notifications. So that's where Harrison will come in, and like Chief Hersong is going to update everybody for 4th of July, whether it be street closures or, severe weather.
But I already sent those out.
Tonight?
It's limited, yeah, the amount of information that you can send is somewhat limited.
Okay.
So those were already sent out. There were a couple of responses in there, just to clarify. When you build that out, your own profile out, sometimes, well, not sometimes, but it asks about multiple addresses. So, for instance, myself, I gave my home address and my work address. Not that it's going to matter if an emergency happens because they're so close to each other.
Sure.
But one of the responses that we received was, I live in Blue Ash, not Harrison. The only thing I can come up with is that individual probably put their work address down, and it's probably in Harrison. So if Harrison is alerted for something, they're going to receive that alert as well. It's not something we can control. And one other response that I just sent, I sent 3 out. So the way it's broken down by the areas, there's a Harrison Township North, Harrison Township South, and then City of Harrison. If you're on the border of that Cages line, you may get the messages twice, depending on where you fall within there. But that's not something that we can control right now. And then if one person responded with stop, then I guess if you get a text and you tell somebody to stop, they're supposed to stop, but we don't control that. You opt in when you sign up for that.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't want to receive those, you just have to go in and take off the local municipal alert option.
So they just uncheck the box.
Just
It's
uncheck
pretty
the
simple.
box.
Okay.
It'll go away.
So one more thing. So, for example, like the Blue Ash event, Summit Fest. So when we were there, we got to text a special number in, and then I don't live in Blue Ash. I have nothing to do with Blue Ash, but I was there that day.
Right.
And so then I get all their text alerts. Do we have that capability at this point?
We do.
Okay,
We're not there yet.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
It's scary because that whole Hawaii concept comes back.
yeah,
And
incoming
emails
missile,
already threaten
right.
to come hunt me down if I send that out. So,
correct.
um,
Just don't
yeah,
put
we'll
that.
get there. I think for maybe
Yeah.
the taste, we might be able to get there. It's something.
Okay,
so what
sure.
Mrs. Avery's talking about is anybody that shows up will be able to use a barcode scanner or key in a number.
Yeah.
And then anything that goes on during the event that we would feel noteworthy of putting out, everybody that opts into that during the event will receive those notices right away.
I think this program's great. I mean, the whole Smart 911, you put in, if you're not familiar, it's a secure site. You put in all your information, personal information, medical information, anything that first responders should know in the case of an emergency. And what's great about it is it opens up for them for 45 minutes. That's it. After you dial 911 from that phone that you have attached. So there's so many times when people can't speak or they're unconscious from a crash, and you could easily say, okay, this is Cindy, she's unconscious, let's call her husband, here he is, you know?
Right. We don't see that. With the system that we're operating with, we don't see any of that Smart 911.
But the
info.
dispatcher does,
Right, it
911
goes straight to- So if
dispatcher.
you dial
Right.
911, it goes straight to the communications
Right.
center.
right.
I just want to clarify that. I don't want people thinking that we're sitting at the firehouse able to look. at
No,
this.
no, you can't get into it, that's why I said secure, right,
Right.
for sure. Okay, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
All right, and one last thing, mayors and member of council, you should have each received an email that I sent with the 2018 Ohio Sunshine Law attached. I sent it because I attended Ohio Municipal League training with our finance director last month, and they gave a great segment on Sunshine Law updates. I know that some of you couldn't make it to the training, and I believe it's important to receive updates. So, Mr. Law Director, any chance you can give us a refresher next meeting?
Be happy to. It'll take about 25 minutes or so. I can do a PowerPoint presentation and just hit some of the more specific things that come up without a full thorough
Sure.
review. Yep.
Sounds good. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
One note on the alert program, the city and the township have partnered, so it's not just city residents, but also all of Harrison Township residents are under the program that we just signed a contract, 2 weeks ago. So it's brand new to us and them, and there is a lot of upfront work that the chief and needs to be done to get it fully functional. So
It's going to be a great program, I think.
if you have friends that are watching that, or somebody watching that knows people in the township, they may not see this. The township doesn't broadcast their meetings over ICRC, so you can let them know. Mr. Manager, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, Mayor, I do. And to the chief's point about Hawaii earlier, if we have an incoming missile coming in from Korea, I just want to have enough notice to get the backs in time to get that last bottle of Blanton's before it's all over. So, let it be said. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I had a chance to meet with Jim Thatcher along with our mayor our police chief and our fire chief last week to talk about the situation with the debris piling up against the pilings under the Jameson Road Bridge. And Jim Thatcher, who's a Dearborn County Commissioner, got right on that. I understand on July the 9th, they're going to have a crew down there to begin removing that debris. They think they can get it all out in the span of a day. They're going to have a tub grinder there to grind up all the debris, and hopefully, once that stuff's all out, they'll do another check on the bridge, and hopefully everything's fine. They've also committed to me that they're going to periodically and much more frequently that's been done in the past, review that situation down there so we don't run into another situation where all that stuff's piled up. They're going to have a buffer built in to prevent anything that gets loose while they're doing it from going downstream and creating a problem with the canoe livery. They're in touch with the owner of that business, and I expect that it should go pretty well. But, that, again, I want to express my gratitude to our neighbors in Dearborn County for getting on that and taking care of it. Law Committee, the Cincinnati Waterworks case is heading to mediation. We're looking for some dates. I know some dates have been circulated, probably in August. Is
Hopefully.
probably when that'll happen, but
Yeah.
there's enough people involved, and Mr. Dieters is working hard to try to, it's like herding cats, trying to get everybody in the same place at the same time. So that's moving. Collective bargaining with both our police and fire unions is ongoing. I can tell you that the meetings we've had have been professional, they've been collegial, and I think everybody is very pleasantly respectful of the other party's positions. So we're going to continue to move forward on that. That's about all I can say, but that process is ongoing. We did discuss, some residents had some concerns about golf cart traffic in parks of Whitewater. There's really nothing for the city to do on that, except the police department will be policing as current law requires. So that's all I'm going to say about that. We do have Independence Day tomorrow. There are issues that we confront every year with fireworks. Be safe out there. The better practice is to come down to the community center, see it done professionally by Rozzy. I know, having said that, everybody's a backyard professional here, and if you're going to do that, alcohol and fireworks don't mix. Don't recommend that. Be careful. Mortars tip over. Sometimes those shots go places that you don't think they're going to go. And, we hate to have our life squad called to take people to the hospital, particularly if it's a kid that's injured. So be careful out there, be safe, and as I said, the better practice is come visit us down here. Finally, a word about House Bill 602, which is in the General Assembly right now. Sometimes I think our guys up in Columbus just run out of stuff to do, and then they think, how can we stick it to the municipalities? And that's a case with House Bill 602. I hope it dies the death it richly deserves, but right now it's kind of on the back burner. House Bill 602, in effect, would provide for a 20% reduction in a municipality's local government fund distributions if the local municipality decides to sell water to an entity outside the municipality for a higher rate than the municipality's charging its own citizens. So, it's, how punitive can we get? We'll have to wait and see. Keep an eye on House Bill 602. Like I said, it's quiet now. They're on summer recess, but there's always the opportunity for people to come back and do things. I still remember the cell phone thing came back by way of a dog bill. Somebody attached it, to a canine bill. So you never know where this stuff's going to surface. Mayor, thank you very much for this gesture. It's appreciated. This, for most of us up here, is a labor of love. We do this because we want to serve. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's not so fun. Sometimes we're trying to solve problems that seem to not have any solutions. And while this may seem like a small gesture, Mayor, it's a very big deal to me, and I thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Grubbs, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, sir. I do have a couple items to cover. I think we should talk about a summer recess, like the state. On to other serious things. First, obviously, it is going to be scorching hot, so everybody that comes out and partakes in all the different activities, drink plenty of water. Starting at Memorial Day, we had a lot of individuals that were impacted by the heat, and tomorrow it's supposed to be 95, and if it's like normal standard Ohio, it'll be about 100% humidity also. So drink plenty of water. I do want to thank Southwest Local Schools for being out tonight. I know they've had a lot of different stuff going on. I think they visited Fairfield Middle School to take the freshmen and elementary to take a look at those schools, how they're laid out and designed. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to partake in a lot of those different meetings just because of previous obligations, but I know they're trying to make sure everything is seen and everyone is heard. So if you have questions, please continue to write the questions down, then reach out to the appropriate individuals. So they are making a concerted effort in our community to let everyone have a voice. Finance Committee, we have our next Finance Committee on July 17th at 5:15. Some of the changes I had announced in previous meetings that we had made a change over to Haran as basically our administrator. And we've made some recent changes in healthcare from Humana to Medical Mutual of Ohio, and then Reliance for our supplemental plan and basic offerings to our employees. But we have that in force and we're moving forward with that. There are some savings to the city and the employees, which I think that's a good thing. We continue to work hard on spending money appropriately, spending the citizens' money appropriately. So, but that is one thing that we have moved forward on. I do want to remind everybody that we do have a special meeting on the 10th at 6:30. Just because of all the different concerts and everything going on, please remember that we have the special meeting at 10:30 or at 6:30 in regards to the 2019 tax budget and the improvement of Harrison Avenue. So make sure you're here for that. Other than that, I just want to wish everyone a very happy and safe 4th of July celebration. Please remember why we celebrate it, not just all the party and everything. So that's all I have, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lewis, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I would like to second Hank's sentiments and thank you for the challenge coin. It is much appreciated. I don't think anybody up here does this job for their own recognition. But we just want to give back to the community. But it's nice to hear a thank you once in a while. So we really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Also, it's a kind of a little bittersweet moment. We are saying goodbye to one of our police officers, Sergeant Douglas Herberger, retired on June the 30th. He will be sorely missed. I'm going to read a little thing here about Sergeant Herberger. Sergeant Herberger began his law enforcement career in 1989, serving as a special deputy with the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. He was sworn in as a full-time Village of Elmwood Place police officer in 1991. He was promoted to lieutenant and then to chief of police of Elmwood Place PD in 1996. That is one fact I had no idea of, Chief, so had no idea he was a police chief. He was sworn in as a Harrison police officer on October 3rd, 2000 by Mayor Dan Geringer. He was promoted to sergeant on July 21st, 2006. He is a graduate of OPOTA First Line Supervisor course. He graduated from Traffic Crash Investigation Levels 1, 2, and 3 and was a certified field training officer. His additional duties included training coordinator, agency-owned property, domestic violence coordinator, holding facility, and defensive tactics instructor. He joined the Hamilton County Police Association Underwater Search and Recovery Team in 2005 as a top tender boat operator. That's actually where I met Sergeant Herberger for the first time before I even was involved with the Harrison PD or City Council. So. In 2006, he obtained his scuba certification and was assigned as a police diver. In 2016, he was promoted to assistant dive team commander. He served on the dive team from 2005 until the day of his retirement. His dedication to the Harrison Police Department and the city of Harrison is noteworthy. During his career, he has received dozens of letters of appreciation and commendation from citizens, judges, and other law enforcement agencies. His outstanding and dedicated service to the citizens of this city, Hamilton County, and the state of Ohio are greatly appreciated. This past year, he mentored newly hired Harrison officers, passing on his knowledge, experience, and expertise. His outstanding and dedicated service to the citizens of the city, county, and state are greatly appreciated, and he'll be missed at the Harrison Police Department. So congratulations to Sergeant Herberger, but we hate to see you go. He will be coming to an upcoming city council meeting to be recognized and receive his flag and other awards. So again, congratulations to Sergeant Herberger. The next meeting of the police committee, by the way, will be on the 17th at 6 o'clock. We have all those public hearings that night. Chief, do you have an idea what your agendas are going to look like?
Very
Brief? I know you're not, you may or may not. So we can assume it's going to be brief meetings and we probably don't need to move the times. We can finish up before 6:45. You guys okay with that? Okay, so we'll keep the same times for police committee at 6 o'clock. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dole, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. First up, we had a presentation tonight that Mike's going to speak on here as part of our Streets Committee meeting from Carolyn Duffy with 143 Engineers. But to speak more to the Streets and Stormwater Committee parts of the meeting, Mr. Leslie and I discussed the Flintstone Drive reconstruction. He was able to procure pricing to do the one block of Westfield that had not previously been done, as well as Arrowhead Court. So for all the folks that live down in that area, those two roads will be getting milled and overlaid while we're down there. That'll be around the same time that Flintstone receives its final surface coat. So that should get us finished up for the summer with our road projects. Stormwater Committee, I know there's been some folks asking about the stormwater work up in the Biddle Heights subdivision there. We've kind of been waiting on the storm funds to build up enough that we can start the project. We had an estimate. So now we've confirmed we do have the funds to do the project. We're finalizing the design with City Engineer JMA, and we are going to be complete with this project by September. So you can quote me on that. It will be done. Let's see, Planning Commission. The next Planning Commission meeting is on July the 10th. We will have a hearing on the new design standards for the DRD Downtown Redevelopment Overlay District at 7 p.m. on the 10th, and then the meeting will follow at 7:30 p.m. And that's all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Maines, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, sir, I do. I do want to thank Caroline Duffy for coming out, and she kind of dominated our streets stormwater meeting this evening, and then some. But she came out and talked quite a bit about what she can do to help us with our green space initiative for the comprehensive plan. I know Hank and Cindy are passionate about the comprehensive plan, and when I saw that green space and when I had met with Caroline back in January at a Tri-State Trails, I knew that that would be a good fit. So I know she went long and she was really trying to
It was good.
promote herself, you know.
Good information.
But that, a lot of good information she had with that, and
Sure.
and she's high energy, and she really likes her roundabouts, so if you don't like roundabouts, maybe. But she talked about how, you know, they reduce speed, and when you're reducing speed and you slow down, that makes our streets safer. And so she really had a nice traffic study that she did on Harrison, in the city of Harrison, and a lot of good information on obtaining grants, and I know Cindy likes grants. So, no, really appreciate her coming out this evening. I don't know, is there more to add to that?
Everybody likes grants.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I love grants.
We all do. But you know what I really liked about her? I feel like she thinks outside the box, you know? So we know that there's certain intersections in Harrison that are a wreck. They've been a wreck for years and years, but she pretty much is like, yeah, no problem. Here's what we can do for that.
Right, right.
That's what I saw from her
The
presentation.
approach is great, you know, I think it
Yeah.
gets stale after a while, and
Right.
having that fresh.
Absolutely. A new set of eyes.
Yeah.
So-
You know, some of her thoughts on the West Road overpass
Oh, I love that, the
You know,
West
Urbana
Road.
brought that up, and she
For
had some
sure.
ideas of how you can, cantilever a sidewalk off the side of
Right.
the bridge. Boy, that's.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, that was a great idea.
And how, we don't have to wait on ODOT.
We don't
can
have
do
to
some
wait,
things,
right.
To
Yeah.
push them along,
See, where I never knew that.
get what we want,
Right.
right, yeah.
I mean,
so that
I was
good
under the
information.
impression we have to
So,
wait for ODOT. That's what they said.
Yeah, I'm glad we
so-
had her out this evening.
Not anymore.
And
Yeah.
I did have to drive home and get my computer so she could do her presentation.
That's okay.
Her computer died, but that's.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, it's good when you live 5 minutes away, so. I want to thank Annette and Sharon and American Legion and the VFW for coming out tonight. And boy, the food truck rally was a lot of fun. I've had more people come up to me and talk to me about, that was a great event. We really had a good time at that.
Well, we appreciate your help
Well,
all
it's-
day
It's fun, yeah.
at night.
At night, and throwing some garbage bags, yeah, it was
Yes.
fun, yeah.
Yep.
I'll do the job nobody else wants
Good.
to do. So no, that was great, that we could get a donation for that, and thank them for coming out. Still kind of trying to move the ball forward on Willow Park and trying to figure out the erosion issues. I sent an email out today based on an email, communications between myself and Wendy Van Buren and Gail Chuck, and you guys have been copied on some of that email process. And so the next thing is to talk to a fella, or the folks at the Hamilton County Soil and Water Conservation. They have a whole program on looking at urban streams and the kind of things you can plant along the riverbank to prevent the erosion. So we really, the idea is we want to plant some things there and see if that will work, because that's a lot less expensive than pulling in civil engineers like Ethan to come up with, or Caroline or someone like that, for that matter, to put something in that's very.
Natural erosion control is much more attractive than cement and.
Absolutely, and
Retaining
something
walls.
attractive and less expensive and those sorts of things. So continuing to work through that. Besides all the activities we have going on tomorrow afternoon that I'll be there and involved with the parade and the games and the bands and the fireworks, tomorrow morning we have a 5K fun run and walk here at the community center. Registration starts at 8 a.m. The race and walk will start at 9 a.m. It's going to weave through the community center into the Meadows subdivision. We'll be hitting Sunset, Westfield, Weathervane, Featherwood, Flintstone, Whippoorwill, and Etta. We're not going to be closing those streets. We think by the time we get most of the folks down Sunset that the race will be spread out and cars and pedestrians can share the road. As of now, we have 86 folks registered. We have several $1,000s in sponsorship and, from our local sponsors. Sharon Zalek at La Rose's is one of those. And tomorrow, but it's not too late to register. If you want to come out and walk tomorrow, show up at 8 o'clock and
And
put in your $20. You won't get a T-shirt, but you can come participate.
It'll be at the coolest time of the day.
Well, I would vote for I suggested 6 a.m., like that's when the
Wow.
flying pig starts, but,
I don't know that all 86 registrants would be there by 6 a.m.
well, us hardcore runners, 6 a.m. works. And that's good, because I'll be up at 6 a.m. helping getting things set up. So 8 a.m. for the registration, 9 o'clock for the race, and I encourage you to come out and just add that to your long list of things that you'll be doing tomorrow. I know it'll be part of mine. And I am looking forward to helping with the parade setup tomorrow, and hope everybody can come out for the parade, the bands, food, festivities, fireworks, all the good stuff. Mayor, that's all I have.
Mike, before you move on Willow Park, is there any thought to rebuilding the overlooks that we had out there before they got washed out by the flood?
I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mayor?
We had decided that because it was raised structure on the bank, it would be at high risk, because we can't really anchor down right there when you're that close to the benches. They're a pretty significant distance back, and the ground's solid enough to anchor them. But those overlooks were put in with split rail fence, and if you saw the pictures,
Yeah.
they did not fare well at all.
Yeah, I saw that. It's just, they were pretty neat though.
There are some areas where there's gravel and it's a little cleared off and you can walk out, but there's no fence railing now.
Okay.
Be careful. Yeah. Well, it's a nature park, and nature has hazards, and people need to pay attention for themselves, their children, and other people. If you see someone doing something unsafe, make them aware. The last thing you want to do is not do that and then have to make the 911 call. I'd rather be embarrassed because they tell me to mind my own business than call 911 10 minutes later.
Yeah, my focus is really trying to, what can we do that makes sense from a erosion mitigation process? And Wendy Van Buren had a lot of great ideas for as far as the trees we planted, but she wanted us to pull in Hampton County Soil and Water Conservation District because they have a good idea of the kind of plants, ground cover that we can put. It may take away a little bit from the overlook, as far as being, you might have, late in the summer, you might, the weeds, not weeds, what we might think is weeds, but erosion control plants, tall grasses that, get some deep roots, slow the water coming back. I mean, what happened during that flood, the last one, I mean, we had the water come up over the banks twice, but this last flood, the water came up so fast and came back so fast that we believe that, it washed out, and that tumbling action of the water going back into the riverbank caused more erosion than any of the flow coming from upstream downriver. So trying to understand that, but we'll get some other folks out and get some other, get the folks from Hampton County, see what they have to.
Is there any grant money available for, possibility of rip-wrapping the, that side of the river?
We can certainly look at that. I don't know. That's a lot of money. Yeah. Versus, having on service day, have the ability for people to cast some seed out, throw some seed out, or plant some seedlings, or, have our city employees plant the proper kind of trees, that sort of thing. So, yeah, let's look at all the issues and evaluate the cost before let's spend thousands before we spend millions. So, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Glendo?
Yes, sir. So it's been a minute since I've been here between vacation and a personal emergency that came up. So, Mayor, last time, before I went on vacation, the Building and Lands Committee met on the 29th of May. So it's been a month, so to be able to give the report. Different things that we've talked about, and this is something that I need to speak with council maybe to get some guidance as to best practices, and also Mr. Dieters. I know that a previous councilman made a proposition or proposal for setting aside some MROs for a specific park. I think the intent is good, but for having something locked in for something as specific as one park, I don't think brings much value. But I think having some sort of, as we start working with the Finance Committee in 2019 budgeting, setting aside some funds for some of the parks, for lack of a better term, MRO, maintenance, repair, operation type initiatives, I think is very wise, so that when we do have issues and we can look at areas that we can have money set aside for natural erosion type of investments or repairs of benches or repainting and stuff like that, that we have money set aside. So one thing I would, ask is some of your mentorship, some of your experiencing that I'm new as to what that process is. And I don't know if that is something that we resurrect as far as the bill that Mr. Acre had proposed for one, but let's modify it, not to one park. I think he was looking at Village Park solely. But what do we do for our parks? And put aside a modest budget so that we can have a operating budget to do some small repairs.
I had some initial discussions with the finance director about when we get into the budget cycle.
Absolutely.
The recreation budget has some stuff in it that's for certain building and lands type items. And I had suggested that we make the recreation budget more activity-based and then give in earnest a budget to the building and lands, who doesn't have one.
Correct.
So that they don't have to worry about a park in particular, but they have all of the different building and lands maintenance, repair, and operations in a budget that they have responsibility for. And most of that would be implemented through the public works departments. but it would fall into a budget with a group that's coordinated through Public Works to maintain our properties. And recreation's very occupied now with concerts, with movies, all the new events that we've added, which are wonderful for our city. And so some of the historical things that they've done, ball field maintenance, some of the things like that, aren't getting as much attention. And this will give it the ability for recreation to do what they do best, the events, and let building and lands begin to hone their skills and do that part best. And we just had an initial discussion, and you've hit on the same idea. So maybe that's two people thinking alike, and hopefully there's a few more that can jump in. And I think that's a very approachable situation with the budget that we're looking at. And it's a wise division of funds.
And I agree. Building it into the budget isn't necessarily the hard part. Figuring out the 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year things are the items that need to be addressed, because those are the ones that are going to draw the needed money. And figuring out where to push and pull in the budget is going to be the hard part. Building it, that's easy. Well, I don't have to do it. Kathy has to do it, but it's easy for her.
So Urbano,
Having the plans and processes in place on how to administer and how to handle those operations.
so really quick, just to refresh everyone's memory, what Ray was suggesting last year, there was a few things in here that we didn't like, but the main point was to make Village Park a historical site, which we could easily do with a simple phone call. It's nothing, and a vote. I mean, it's really simple. Secondly, I did suggest that we should have a park commissioner or park board, just like rec, where they are responsible for, just like we have these amazing events, because you have a group of hardworking people who volunteer their time. You could have a person that oversees all of our parks. Yes, I know Jim does, but Jim also wears many hats.
Absolutely.
He's utilities and streets and running around. And so, again, do our facilities need a little TLC? Absolutely. Is it anyone's fault? No, certainly not pointing fingers. But I feel like, again, as Ryan said, with fresh new approach, fresh new set of eyes, you're right, exactly what you're saying. You see a need, whether it's a little bit of extra landscaping here or a major project like Willow Park, or again, Village Park is absolutely beautiful. Let's not let it just decay. I mean, rec, we're discussing having a new concert possibly next year there in the park, maybe like a jazz band. Again, we're going to bring back, I know some people will be very excited, Looker Day in the park, something like that, arts and crafts. Not necessarily calling it that, but we're going to work with the Historical Society, anybody else who wants to be involved, to revitalize and get the park, with action. Because right now, really, I mean, it's beautiful, but nobody really uses it. So,
And I think
yes.
I think the intent of this is having the infrastructure in place, having the operating mechanisms in place.
I agree.
So that we can build upon it. And then, I think as we start having a budget for building and lands, it also becomes hopefully a committee that we can attract more participants in, because we do have some budgets that we can operate with. And it is very modest, is what we're talking, what we've originally are proposing. But those are some things that we want to do, is to have those in place so that, no one ever plans to fail, but we've failed to plan. And what we want to do is have a planning process in place and a budget in place so that we can mitigate any expenses or damages to our parks. We have to be good stewards of them, and that's kind of the intent of this.
Well, the mechanism would have to include a capital component, so that in any given year, if it's not expended, it begins to build. So when we won't see the erosion we saw at Willow Park every year, that's going to be an every so many year event, maybe 10 or 20 years, I hope. But so you plan that you have funds set aside, a small amount each year, and in 10 years, if it's $1,000, there's $10,000 there. If it's more than that, it's more. But you set that aside for those large expenditures when you have that off occurrence.
Yep.
And then the rest of it's just the simple routine maintenance of the parks. I mean, we already do the mowing and stuff like that, but the ball fields. The last 2 years, I've had calls that the ball fields need to be attended
We
to
do.
because
They're
practice
unsafe.
started.
Well.
And it wasn't that we didn't think about it, it's that we had people thinking about 5 other things
Right.
and in the list of priorities,
Yep.
it was not number one. So now we have a different department, well, a different group, but it's going to be the same people doing the work. You have a limited number of resources to deploy as far as personnel, and we'll have to determine every year throughout the course of the year, that's Jim's job, where those resources get allocated, when and why. And then we can appoint 40 people to positions, but you're still only going to have however many people are in that Public Works Department to do the work.
I understand that, but every place I go, whether it be Blue Ash, Evendale, Delhi, they all maintain their grounds and they're gorgeous.
And
Just
And
saying.
I think
It's our property, we need to maintain it.
And I
period.
think, as we develop this, we also develop a RACI, for the lack of a better tool, who's responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed within the organizations, so that we have a process that's in place. And what we're trying to do is just put the building blocks and the foundations in place, so that we can go forward. So, but I want to use this as a springboard to open up discussion, so that we can start planning something like this as we're getting into 2019 planning season.
I think it's great.
Our
It's
next-
starting.
Yeah,
so-
our next meeting will be July 31st at 1800 hours. That's 6 o'clock for you non-civilian folks. So we'll discuss some more opportunities. Mr. Leslie, we'd love to have you at some of those meetings if you have the opportunity. You are the subject matter expert, so I would love to lean on your expertise if you can help out there. Other than that, this holiday is one of my favorites, if not my favorite. Well, second favorite. You can't beat turkey. But this is my second favorite holiday, and we have a lot of service members deployed all over the world. We live in the greatest country in the world, and I would argue and fight with anyone who would say otherwise. I would ask everyone to say a prayer for service members. We have a lot of service members that are attached to this community, grandchildren, sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, cousins, friends, neighbors. It's a close-knit community, being in the military, and our country wouldn't be what it is without the volunteer military that we have. And just please say a special prayer for them. Chief, I'm going to ask you to look out for me tomorrow. I'm going to run in this 5K. I haven't trained. I'm going to run it cold turkey because I do like Thanksgiving. So
He's running the trail vehicle, so you should, as long as you.
I won't be that
you'll be in
slow.
the back. Yeah, you'll be back there.
There'll be a
I'll
lot
get
of determination. I will finish that run, but
You mean you're going to ride in the car with the chief?
there's no riding. This is lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way.
That means if you do fall down, revive you, hook up the rope, and drag you the rest of the
Well, just give me a little atropine or something, and we'll get moving again. So, other than that, Mr. Mayor, I have nothing else.
Do we have any other comments or business prior to adjournment?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Please take the roll.
Grubbs.
Yay.
Lewis.
Yay.
Dole.
Yay.
Maines.
Yay.
Galindo.
Yay.
Abrams.
Yay.
Menninger.
Yay.
Stand adjourned. Thank you.